All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start our special board meeting in about 1 minute. If folks could take their seats and any remaining commissioners could make their way to the dais. Thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, actually. This is a special Board of County Commissioners meeting, September 6th, 2022. It's 5:20 p.m. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off setting. The Board of County Commissioners allows any person to speak regarding an item on the agenda. The speaker is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise determined by the chairman. This is in order to allow sufficient time for all the speakers. Speakers shall refrain from abusive or profane remarks, disruptive outbursts, protests, or other behavior which interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Upon completion of the public comment period, discussion is limited to board members and questions raised by the board. Please join me for a moment of silence. Stand, please, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Amen. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Was this meeting properly advertised?
Mr. Chairman, this meeting was advertised via an email blast. It was also posted on the county's website on Friday, September 2nd.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Are there any items to be added to this special meeting agenda? Starting with you, Allison.
No, sir.
Robert?
No, sir.
Commissioner Barry? Commissioner May?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Underhill?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
No, sir.
All right, rocking and rolling. Chair would entertain a motion on adopting this agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second to adopt the agenda. Please vote.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have everyone logged in yet, so can we do a hand vote for that
that's
one?
absolutely fine. Everyone, all those in
Thank you.
favor? Aye. Seeing none opposed, passes unanimously. Matter of fact, we could probably do it that way going forward if no one's logged in. All right, let's go through board action items. This is a special meeting, and for those who are here, maybe confused, we're going to do our first budget hearing directly after the conclusion of this meeting. We had some exigent circumstances, and we had some time-sensitive proposals that they're going to be brought forward. So at this point, I will recognize Wes. Do you want to set the table?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we were notified last Thursday afternoon of an opportunity to purchase some fire trucks at an expedited time frame and also at a discount, if you will. That discount would equate to about $250,000 if 2 trucks were bought. And so we need to issue or send a letter of intent to whatever our intentions are if we do indeed decide to purchase one or both of those trucks. So therefore, we have put that on the item, on the agenda for this afternoon for this special board meeting, so we can take some direction from the board.
Very good. Thank you, Wes. Were there any comments or discussion from my fellow board members? Robert, I know you had brought this item. You're recognized.
Sure, thank you, sir. No, I would just say, I think Wes laid it out there is one, it was an opportunity we had. I think, both of the stations that are in my district have aerials. I know at least the one on the beach needs to be replaced, as do a few others. And the not only cost savings, but also the at this point the expedited time frame in which they would be received by the county to be late next year is what, a year and a half sooner than if we were to order them today. They're still they're custom designed, but we still have some opportunity to make some design changes if we wanted to, but it's similar to the one that we have on order now, so it probably meets all of our specs from what we can tell. I think it fits the need that we have in fire services right now to get both of them.
Thank you, Commissioner Bender. Eric, could you come forward, please? I just have a couple, I don't see any lights on. I just wanted to. We've talked a lot about getting a replacement cycle. I know that you and
Yes,
Chief
sir.
Catherine Bowen have worked on that. So explain for the people who are watching it, for me, for my edification, where does this purchase fit on the scale of where we were going to purchase these apparatus anyway, had this not come?
We were going to ask for them for the next budget cycle, actually. So we needed to get aerials kind of toward the front end of this because we need to add more aerials to our fleet,
Okay.
to certain areas of the county. So we were going to actually ask for 2 in the next budget cycle, to be honest. So it helps us out because now they're coming in a year earlier or a year and a half earlier than what we had anticipate if we get in on this order now. So
So just completely serendipity that
it is absolutely serendipitous, and I apologize about the manner in which it came about and how I brought it forward Thursday. That is not how we do business, I understand that, but I apologize. It was time sensitive, so I felt like it was a good situation in which we could save some money now on purchasing the equipment that we're going to need anyway,
Okay.
and then absolutely get them in a little quicker than what we thought, so.
And has Allison, have you had the opportunity to review this? Everything's copacetic with this Orange County contract?
Yes, sir, we will need to make sure that there is a motion and vote on A, B, and C.
Yes, ma'am.
Because B is blessing it as the piggyback. It has been reviewed by purchasing and legal, and yes, it's sufficient.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that,
Thank
Eric. You may want to stay in case my counterparts have any. Commissioner Berry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions for Eric. I don't know if anybody else does.
All right.
I don't see any. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move item A1, which is the purchase of the one for 1.25, B, and then the C, the portion of C that is relevant to the 1.25 purchase.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Robert?
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't gotten into which over the 2 that we need, but is the ladder the preference over the platform, or?
Yes, sir. If we were to get one, we prefer the latter, absolutely.
And then, Jeff, I know that Beulah's looking at expanding, when that new building comes online, that there will be a house big enough for an aerial out there. So I'd say, I know probably this one is the one that we need to replace, but if we're going to add one.
Yeah, I
It
think-
seems like it's a good savings, but I hear the motion that my fellow member made, and I appreciate that, but just wanted to toss it out there.
Okay, now, the motion, Barry, please, Commissioner Barry, please restate that, just so I'm completely.
It's, excuse me, it's A1, and then B, and then C, the relevant portion to the piece of equipment that's 1.25.
So 1.25 and let the other one go and
Yes.
not purchase. Okay, there's a motion and a second on that.
And a second for discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And so this Orange County vendor, so it's sole sourcing, Allison? And, I mean, it wasn't competitively bid?
No, it was competitively bid by Orange County. Orange County is the previous purchaser. They're not the vendor, they're the purchaser.
And we're buying it from them, Eric?
No, you're just standing in their shoes.
Right, off their current contract.
Because we couldn't get a cheaper rate.
Right, well, that's the cheapest we can get.
Okay.
Okay,
So we didn't procure this, is what I'm to understand?
Yes, sir, we would be procuring it through the Orange County contract that they already have in place. Yes, sir.
So they put it out for competitive bidding,
Yes, sir.
and this is the best price?
This is
so
the best one.
We're taking their price?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Underhill, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly supportive of the purchase of the one. I would also be equally supportive of the purchase of the second one, based on the couple of, very simple facts. We are deficient in the amount of equipment we currently have, not including the growth that we know is coming. We're building new firehouses. We have a county that's growing significantly, and those new firehouses are going to require equipment as well.
Yep.
But also, I don't think anybody is tracking that the current inflation rate is going to get any better over the next couple of years. This is almost certainly the cheapest that we will be able to purchase equipment. And when you look at the timelines and how long it's taking to get equipment, if you've tried to buy anything lately, literally have new cars showing up on showroom floors without the computers in them. If anybody else sees something on the horizon that says that's going to get better over the next couple of years, then you're seeing a much more optimistic life than I've got. So I would very strongly recommend, certainly, we can make this, you can take this action as it is on the floor now. I will say that if this motion stands on just the one, I'll be following up with a second motion to pick up to go ahead and purchase the second one. Or, we could do it by a friendly amendment as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Underhill. Commissioner May?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm certainly going to be supportive of the motion that my colleague made because public safety is paramount. But certainly, we do have the one-time CARES Act money, and I certainly want my colleagues to be conscious of, we have to protect people and buy fire trucks, but we've taken this money and we have not taken any of the CARES Act money to address the basic essential needs of poverty, housing, homelessness in this community. We've not taken those dollars, and so as we move forward in capital equipment, I certainly would hope that when we bring some forward that takes care of the basic needs of the majority of the citizens, that we're going to find support. So with that, my second stands.
All right, Commissioner Bender.
Yeah, I was going to say, Commissioner May, I'd say the money's just a placeholder. It's not due until we receive the trucks, which aren't until even next budget cycle. Again, Jeff, I don't know, again, I had heard last Thursday was the first I'd heard that you needed an aerial in Beulah. Again, to have one anytime around I think when the fire station gets finished, a year and a half, 2 years down the road. So this is a savings of, I heard 600, but at least 250 a unit that we're saving. So it's 250 per unit is the cost savings over if we were to order the same unit today.
And remember, I'm fine with that. But it's evident-based that houses that burn down are typically old houses or wood houses. The new construction houses, with all the technology that they have, don't burn and kill children like it does in poverty areas. And so as we look at the distribution of where we're going to put these, we certainly shouldn't look at just districts. We should look at need and do that real assessment before we continue to buy these type of equipment. And I get you need it in your district. It makes sense. Jeff needs it in his district. Where is the real need? And so that assessment needs to be, that type of data needs to be presented as we move forward before we purchase anything else. And so, I'm going to be supportive of this, but I'm not going to be supportive if we just do it based on neighborhoods, areas, and districts. I think that the assessment should be based on need and where the highest risk of people who are dying from fires.
And I would say that I think there is the need. We had.
I'm not saying it's not a need. I'm saying
No. I'm just saying.
You're not getting people are not getting killed on Pensacola Beach from fires. They're not, and that's the truth.
Right, but that's also where your density of this is why you need a ladder out there. When we were having our meeting on Thursday, there was no aerial out at Pensacola Beach because it's been down again. Ladder 5 has been down, I think, going on like 600 days now. That it's been down. So, the need for an aerial is there. It's not just, again, it's not just multi-story, but it is to get up to do an aerial attack on it. It was I went to the commercial fire in your district that wiped out the entire block. Right. That we had the aerial that was still there, putting water on the fire 6 hours after the call went out. It's not just again. And I'm somewhat familiar with fire operations. I'm not a part of it, but there's a reason that there's an aerial that's sent to every call. That's the compliment that goes out. And 13 and 19, which are Perdido and Pensacola Beach. I don't know if 19 leaves the island, but 13 typically doesn't. And so we've already reduced that resource on the mainland, which is.
And Robert, I'm supportive of the motion. I think I'm saying that assessment data hadn't been presented before this board per district, and so as we move forward, it should be. Where's the greatest need? Where's the greatest risk? And that's where you put the resources. not based on districts, rather it's your district, my district, or it's where the greatest need is for the public safety of citizens. So that's all I'm saying. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, I want people to be safe all across Escambia County.
Well, I mean, I don't even know what Station 12's in. Is that you, Doug?
Station 12?
12? I mean, that's Osceola. I mean, that's the one that is getting the new one that's coming now. You know, I'm not looking to put a new one on the beach because it's going to corrode quicker, and you know, I mean, I'm not looking for the new ones on Pensacola Beach, but you know, again, I think it's a need, and given the lag time in ordering new equipment, I think it's a prudent opportunity we should evaluate.
No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the comments from the board. And, you know, for my part, obviously, the new Beulah station it'll have a bay that's capable of supporting the aerial. If they so choose to send one out there, of course, that'll be a decision from fire admin. Maybe they move one of the ones that's been retrofitted, you know, based upon that. But I think today's a win. We get a brand-new piece of equipment that we didn't know going to fall in our lap. We're going to get it a year and a half early. I'm certainly going to support my counterparts in the motion that they've made. I think putting out $1.2 million on top of all the other money we've put to fire, there were significant raises. I mean, we've done a lot, but I think moving forward with one gives us a little more time to evaluate the fleet, and I think that's the prudent step to take. So, without further discussion, I see no lights on. The chair would please vote on the motion.
Doing it by hand, right?
Oh, I'm
Yes-
sorry.
yes,
yeah.
sir, we're still
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. We've just purchased a brand-new aerial for fire. Congratulations. All right. Yes, Commissioner
Chairman,
Underhill.
if I may, you know, based on the statements that I've previously made, and my feeling that we are well behind in the equipment that we should have for fire, and that our needs will continue to grow, I move that we approve the purchase of item A2,
Okay.
B, and C with regard to the second vehicle.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to purchase, to approve item 2. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion does not carry, but it's still a win. We got a brand-new piece of equipment for fire. Any further discussion? We're adjourned. All right, we will start our next meeting in approximately 5 minutes. We need some time to switch over the equipment. Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to call this agenda of the Board of County Commissioners' first budget public hearing to order, September 6th, 2022. It's 5:40 p.m. Please turn your cell phone to the vibrate, silence, or off settings. Proof of publication. Was the meeting properly advertised?
Mr. Chairman, the 5:31 p.m. first public hearing for consideration of the tentative budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 was advertised in the board's weekly meeting schedule in the Escambia Sun Press on September 1st, 2022. As required by Florida Statute 197.363, the 5:32 p.m. public hearing for consideration of adopting the fiscal year 2022-2023 first-year assessment rolls for street lighting, Holding Pond, Perdido Key Beach Mouse, and nuisance abatement MSBU's was advertised in the Escambia Sun Press on August 4th, 2022. First-class notices were mailed to all property owners in the affected MSBU districts. A notice of street lighting MSBU adjustment was also published in the Escambia Sun Press on September 1st, 2022.
Thank you very much, Chair. Will entertain a motion.
Move that we waive the reading. I believe that, or second, I'm assuming that was what the motion was.
No, we're going to adopt the agenda first, Doug.
Okay.
Is that what your motion was? Yeah. Okay. Motion is second to adopt the agenda. Please vote. Okay, agenda is passed unanimously. Okay, now moving forward to board action items, 5:31 p.m. public hearing for consideration of the tentative budget for fiscal year 22-23. Wes Marino, you are recognized.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is the first of two required public hearings for the board to adopt the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. The board later in the meeting will set the second public hearing. The Escambia County Board of County Commissioners approved the 2022-2023 tentative millage rates for trim notification purposes at the BCC meeting held on July the 19th, 2022. The law requires that prior to consideration of the tentative budget, an explanation of the rollback rate be provided and entered into the records. The rollback rate is a computed millage rate that would generate the same amount of ad valorem tax dollars as the prior fiscal year based on the proposed year's tax roll, excluding new construction. The millage rates tentatively approved by the board for trim notification are 6.6165 for the countywide millage rate, 0.359 for the Library Municipal Services Taxing Unit, and 0.685 for the Sheriff's Law Enforcement Municipal Services Taxing Unit. The aggregate of these millage rates proposed for the fiscal year 2022-2023 is 13.20% above the rollback rate of 6.5969 certified by the property appraiser. This represents the percentage increase in property taxes tentatively adopted by the board. For information and to avoid any misunderstanding concerning the process of this meeting, this public hearing is convened tonight to discuss the county's fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. Because of the time constraints, we will need to confine our discussion to this subject. Increases in property assessments, remarks, or questions concerning individual property appraisals should be addressed to the county property appraiser at his office during normal business hours.
Thank you. Thank you, Administrator Marino. Questions or discussion from the board? Commissioner Underhill, you're recognized.
Sorry about that, nothing.
Nothing? Okay. I'll say for my part, I'm very happy that we're leaving the millage rate static. I think that provides a little revenue based on the growth of the tax roll. Keeping the millage rate static provides the additional revenue necessary for us to provide raises to our first responders and our employees and keep up with the inflation that we're dealing with. So I certainly am going to be supportive of what Wes is bringing forward, and I'm certainly hopeful that the rest of the board will as well. Commissioner May, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Steve, I'll stand corrected, but I think that we've never had a millage increase since we've served, and actually we've had a millage rollback since we've been in the budget process.
Absolutely.
All right, and so, for the record, Mr. Chairman, although the great Democrat that I am, I would have raised the millage rate. We have not raised the millage rate in all the years, so that's fiscal prudence that I'm proud to say that we've done.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. Commissioner Barry, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to, recognize Wes for getting it, getting everything together, and certainly want to recognize our friend Stephen Hall for coming back and aiding us in the last six or 7 months, or however long exactly it's been. It's been, it was a welcome sight, walking back in the chambers, and I think it's provided a lot of stability and a lot of continuity, as well as aptitude and familiarity with county operations to get us where we are. So certainly don't want that to go unsaid. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. Without any other discussion, we're
I
going to go.
move, do we need to move the item?
I don't believe that we do. I think we move forward, or do you want to, do we need a motion on that? Or actually, it is an action item, so yes, the chair would entertain a motion.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve these tentative numbers. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
To be certain, the action that's before us is to approve those millage rates only and not the budget itself, correct?
No, just what Wes did. Item A, because item B is a discussion item. And that passes unanimously. Okay, at this point, we will have a community partners discussion. Stephen Hall has brought information, including metrics from our community partners and a list of the partners as we had discussed at our last meeting. Stephen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good to see everybody here tonight. Just passed out basically what you'll see on your screen here. So I just also wanted you to have a paper copy. Here, a couple of board meetings ago, we did bring the agency partner metrics through the third quarter to the board, just as an information item. So I just want to make sure that you had that as well. So you'll see on the screen above, so you'll see I have an additional block out to the side. You'll see that there are a couple of agencies where the board did make a decision during the July workshops. So just looking forward for some additional direction from the board on what level of funding the board would like or prefer to allocate for these agencies for fiscal year 22-23.
Let's see, Steve, you're right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, so one, and certainly open to discussion for my colleagues, but one thing I do want to specifically say, and May should have said something, the last time we had a workshop, but we have one allocation coming out of solid waste, and I do think it's prudent. We've got a very good community partner there and Keep Pensacola Beautiful.
Yes.
And they provide quite a bit of value, with litter pickup and those kind of things along the side of the road, and especially coming out of solid waste. I don't think it's inappropriate to take that to the requested 78,791 rather than the 69,149, which doesn't affect any of our other funds at all and affects solid waste very little. I don't think that's inappropriate.
No, and Stephen, if I might add, that's one common complaint that I get, and I'm certain that we get it, your offices get it as well, is the amount of litter. And so anything that Keep Pensacola Beautiful can do, especially particularly if we can utilize the solid waste fund, I'm happy to support that. If you'd like to take that higher, I'd be happy to support that, because that is something that would benefit every district in this county.
This is the extent of the discussion that I've had with them. Maybe something happens over the next couple of weeks, but tonight I'd like to plug in the 78,791 if there's not a tremendous objection.
No objection.
I'll do that.
Commissioner Bender?
And actually, Donald met with Keep Pensacola Beautiful, I think it was a week or two ago, and he's working on a plan. I thought after meeting with them, I knew you'd be on board, Jeff, but if we added an extra crew that focused on, the west side and one that did the east side or something like that, and of course I'm going to talk to FDOT because we have so many state roads that go through there, and I don't see their I'm the one that ends up calling FDOT and asking them to send their contractor out. So see if FDOT can't come in on this as well. But I know we're working on if you just want to give us the quick 10,000-foot update on what you're thinking, but I would agree with Commissioner Berry on going to the 78,791, and then I think probably in a couple of weeks, months or so, we'll have a better idea of how to move forward.
Yeah, good evening, Commissioners. I did meet with Keep Pensacola Beautiful. There are some options to partner with them that I wasn't aware of, so they also do educational outreach for the community. So I talked to their executive director. She's going to be putting together kind of a plan over the next couple of weeks, and we plan on coming back and presenting that to you guys.
Right on.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And Commissioner Berry, obviously, I will support your request, but I really want to see the program and, the difference between the proposed funding and the actual funding. What does that do in actual program and services? Because you're right, we have a big litter problem, particularly in the urban core and inner cities. And so I want to see what that program does, what it says. Obviously, we're not making a decision today. It's a listening session, but I would expect to know exactly what that does before we have the second budget hearing, before we vote on the final budget.
So the funding increase that I believe Commissioner Berry is asking for is just basic cost increase year over year for the funding. When we approved I believe it was $69,000.
So if we would approve the original, and this would be my question, if we would approve the decrease in funding, would that have decreased services? And so what level of service would have been provided? And so what level of service do we get for this number versus the next number? And what is the program for just picking up litter? And that's really the big issue for me is, I agree with all of my colleagues. We have, we do need an education. I've said every year we need an educational program, but what does it look like, this number versus that number? That's all I would expect. Steve?
I'm sure Sigrid can kind of get that.
And yeah,
get that
she's great. I
with
love
you over the next-
Pensacola Beautiful.
Yeah,
but
within the
I'd
next
love
week
for
or
the-
two, I'm sure she can get together.
Yeah, I would just like for her to give me that before we come to the second budget hearing, before I would, fully be on board.
Gentlemen, we have a list here of our community partners. Were there any other changes or recommendations that we would like to make prior to the second budget hearing on the 20th of this month? Commissioner Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thought during our initial discussion that for the Pensacola Area Chamber Foundation, who's taking over the fireworks, that we had authorized the $96,000. So I know Dave and Todd are here, but I think that's what had been discussed in our workshop.
Okay, so let me take a peek here. So, okay. The Chamber Foundation, the 75 grand there is for the fireworks, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think we had taken the straw vote up here to go to
Yeah.
96, but maybe with and I can't remember if it was to go back to TDC and talk to them about it as well, but I thought we had,
So did TDC give us a recommendation? Because that was my understanding, that we go back to TDC and they'd give a recommendation.
I don't believe they've given an updated one, but again, I'm just going off of what the board had said in.
Well,
in
Commissioner
June.
Bender, I'll make that easy. I think that's a worthwhile event, and I'm happy to bring that since I sit that board for their consideration. And obviously, at the end of the day, we'll make the final call. But
And I'm happy to support that, Jeff, but I'm equally, it's important to me, and the TDC hadn't addressed it, and so as we come to the next meeting for Juneteenth, which is significant in the African-American community, that some money be allocated for fireworks for that as well.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so I can be supportive as long as we're going to figure out how we do it for Juneteenth.
And, Mr. Chairman, I do tend to agree with Commissioner Bender. I thought we kind of took a straw vote at the 96 because it's changing from Sertoma. And so it's changing from
Correct.
Sertoma, and I do think I remember, I don't remember if it was Dave or Todd, kind of answering some questions at the podium related to the cost being transferred over to the Chamber Foundation. But the 96, I'm fine with that. Like I said, I kind of thought we took a straw vote for that too.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with it. So I'm hearing 3 voices in favor, so let's just go ahead and change that to 96. That way it's camera ready.
Yes, sir, I've got it in the funding level column, so I've got it at the 96 for the
Okay.
board.
Fantastic. What other changes? Because we have quite a few of these partners here, and if we're not going to make them.
Yeah, so
Yes,
while I'm
Commissioner.
on it, the General Chappie James Museum, I don't think that, I think we determined that was for the bridge statue, and that there hadn't been a request for that. Is that correct?
I thought that we were going to hold that money until their foundation raised
So we
money.
had, but I don't know, if we had it 100,000 last year, I don't know why we need 100,000 this year.
That's an open discussion. I think that memorial is going to be fantastic when it's done, but I do agree with the wisdom of having them, raise the money up front.
Yep.
And us match it. But at the end of the day, that's going to be something this entire community is.
But is there an update? I thought that they had generated the fund, so is there
Does
someone?
anyone know?
Is there someone here from the Chappie James?
Well, I think that was part of the confusion, is that it said General Chappie James Museum, but I think they actually meant the statue was 100,000 that, TDC gave last year for that, based on holding it until the funds were there.
Correct.
So I don't know where the extra 100 came in for this year, so.
Greg's here, so I mean, maybe he can.
Yeah, please come forward. Yeah, maybe you can help us. Just state your name at the podium and you'll be recognized.
Rob Gregg.
Okay. Yes, sir. So can you enlighten us on,
So the first time we approached, we were asking for that initial, so we are still in the process of raising the funding
Okay.
for that.
now, this is, Commissioner Bender's right, we're talking about the statue in the
The
plaza?
statue,
Okay.
yes, sir.
And how far along have your efforts,
I don't have that information right yet.
Ballpark it.
Yeah.
100 grand, 200?
No, sir, I don't.
So Commissioner, I mean, I agree with Commissioner Bender in terms of not allocating new funds, but to keep the $100,000 that we've allocated in multiple years for the Chappie James Museum.
So
If
just
they-
leave it at 100?
Yeah. If they don't raise the money, they don't get the money.
Okay.
But, I mean, as long as it just, again, that's my thing, is do we need to allocate another 100? Because we voted on it this year, I believe.
That's a question for Stefan. I mean,
So-
was that in a?
so, yeah,
is
you
that-
But it's still there. We hadn't spent it. The money should
Correct.
still be tagged that it's still there for the museum.
Commissioner May is correct. It is just a funding placeholder that will be part of the next year's budget. So in the event that the metrics are achieved and the information that the board needs to move forward, that funding will be available.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
do we need to add it as 100 this year then, or do we put that as?
So Commissioner, what I would say, if the board approves that in the proposed column, I'll put right under the 96,000, I'll have that 100 right there. That will be included in the budget.
I mean, it's not new 100 though.
It is not, but again, if it's not spent, it just rolls forward
Okay.
and becomes part of the fund balance, and then it's reallocated again.
Stefan, I understand what you're saying, but just for the clarity of everyone here, so it's not another 100 grand, it's the same 100, we're just rolling it forward.
You're just rolling it over because all the
Yes,
money
sir.
rolled
And
over.
as long as that's clear, then that's.
So, I mean, in other words, next year, we're not going to have 200 in this column and
Correct.
add another, okay?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
All right, thank you, sir, for being here. All
But if
right,
you need 200, come back and ask for it, Rob.
all right, gentlemen, any other changes on this, the partners list?
Are you a part of the foundation, Marion? Are you raising your hand?
You've got the Chappie James Museum, that is really the Chappie James Museum Foundation for the bridge there. There is a request for the Chappie James Museum.
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay, thank you very much, because it's not listed as a foundation, it's not us. Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, if I'll
Yes.
just clarify, so the General Chappie James Flight Academy has an $11,000 allocation.
yes, sir, it does.
Yeah.
We've got that. That would, that,
That is not us either.
how many?
There's the Chappie James Museum and there's the Chappie James Flight Academy. It's what happened.
And there is the Chappie James Foundation that deals with the bridge and preparation for the plane. They're three separate things. The Chappie James Museum consists of two separate units.
Yeah.
I just.
Sir, yeah, can you
just-
come
Yeah,
forward?
Marion, just come, and probably what's going to happen, Robert, because they deal with youth, it's probably going to end up being a children's trust deal.
I should have listened, able to speak. Please forgive me.
No,
My
no,
name
no,
is
you're
Dr.
good.
Marion Williams. I'm the president, the new president of the Chappie James Museum and alumnus of the facility where Ms. Lily James went to school. The Chappie James Foundation is the one that you've rolled the 100,000 over for FY2 and FY3 is really the Chappie James Museum Foundation. There's a separate foundation. That organization is raising funds to get matching funds to get the bridge finish and the
The jet?
and the jet. There is an event planned for that in February.
Mary-
That is not really what we request. As a community partner, we're the Chappie James Museum. Our request is a visit with Chappie James, which is a separate program designed for FY02.
Sir, let me ask you a question
Yes.
so we can correct this. And Stefan, you can help because it sounds awfully confusing. Let's correct this name so that
Yes.
the folks that are raising money to build the statue and the
It's a
static jet-
foundation.
Okay, let's get the name right. Is it the General Chappie James Museum Foundation? Is that group?
Yes, sir, that is that group.
Okay, so we'll make that change. That way we
Right.
won't get confused. And
And-
the name of your group is?
Right. We are the museum itself with the city. We are the Chappie James Museum,
Okay.
Inc. of Pensacola. And the Flight Academy, we are two agencies under one roof. two organizations under one roof.
Okay, so
Okay.
the Chappie James Flight Academy is under your purview?
Is under our purview,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, we've got money set aside for you.
Right,
Okay,
okay?
thank you for being here.
Yeah, I mean, it's two different, I mean, you're talking about general funds versus the 4 cents TDC
Right.
dollars.
Correct.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
they're just two, it's completely
Two
different.
separate things.
Yes.
And I'm sorry for the confusion.
It's all right.
Okay, that was not clear for us. We've worked with them since they've started last year with Moss and the group, and just brought all of that done. But that is sort of confusing.
Okay, I think Robert has a question
But I have
for
a
you.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, sir.
But do you think that there's also an allocation for the museum?
I would hope so.
Okay, because I think the only request was for the Flight Academy.
No,
I don't think
there's
we
a-
had one for the museum.
There's a $50,000 request for the project for the Chappie James Museum. The program is called A Visit with Chappie James. It's where it actually is set up and connected. That original that original meeting for the budget request, I was not there.
And Robert, I'll tell you what happened.
Didn't receive a notice. I think the notice probably went to, I was wondering why they didn't receive it. That probably went to the foundation. And I think that's where I think that's where the problem.
And we're going to have some technical difficulties. I mean, the reality of it is, as he
Yes.
said, they had a change of leadership, and
Yes.
from what I understand, Stephen, the request was not submitted in on time.
Right.
And I think that they've acknowledged that.
No,
And so-
I came in maybe like 2 days and 15 minutes later than that happened.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
It was never our intent.
So that's the issue.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we don't have anything in the budget right now for that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion on these? If not, we'll move forward to our second budget hearing with the slate as it's written. Okay, then we're going to move forward next to public forum. Gentlemen, we do have a number of speakers, so we'll go ahead and have the speakers one by one come through, and each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. We are at public forum, item 5 in our agenda, and our first speaker tonight will be Sylvia Tisdale.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
with all due respect, to our time consideration,
Yes.
To me, previous, when we went through budget, we heard from the organizations. So what's our goal tonight? Just to listen to organizations, and at the
Well-
second hearing, we'll make decisions? Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, because perhaps they might have additional information.
And information, they've done good from our questions.
Yes,
Sound
sir.
to- I just want to make sure we're clear. I mean, because I'm not in a position to want to make a decision tonight on anything. I mean, I'm willing
Yeah.
to listen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll bring it to our second budget hearing, and we do have 8 speakers, so it's not as big as it was Thursday, I'll put it that way. Sylvia Tisdale, you're up, followed by Andrea Roberts. Andrea Roberts, you'll be on deck.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Last year was the first year that we received any partnership funds from the county commissioners, and it was $5,000. And this year, I guess you all have not made a decision. Commissioner May was saying that. And so just want to tell you that we've had a definitely increase in what we do in the community. Now we have a resource coordinator that we do IDs, and we have, we receive referrals from agencies such as the Ashburn, Alfred Washburn Center, the Community Health Center, Northwest Florida, Bright Bridges, Opening Doors, and the VA. They come to us for state IDs. And since April, we have done 75 IDs. We really, at eComfort, we work definitely on a shoestring budget. I tell you, we do not receive any funding at all. We really don't. I use all of my time, not all of it, because we wake up early in the mornings trying to serve the people. But we use every other waking hour of the day trying to get funding in to help keep a place so that our community can come to. And the community we serve, it is women and children, Asian, black, white. There's no distinction. And all of us know because of inflation, everything is going up. Therefore, more people come bright and early in the morning, 4 a.m., they line up to see us. We serve over 500 families a week. We prepare 250 meals a week. And we just really need additional help to take some stress off of us. Everyone knows that I came back from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro to make awareness of the homelessness and the need in our community, and because of that, more people come to us, and they're always calling and looking for us. So I really do want to ask you all to please see if you all can increase that $5,000 this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor, for being here. Andrea Roberts. You are followed by Laura Gilliam. Good evening. Welcome.
Hi, I'm the managing attorney with Legal Services of North Florida, and we are appreciative of the funding that's been slotted for our organization, and I'm open to any questions anyone has.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Yeah, it looks as though we're going to move that forward to the next meeting. We appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Gilliam, followed by Joe Herring.
Good evening, Laura Gilliam, United Way of West Florida. Again, thank you for your support of our organization. I'm actually here on behalf of, or to advocate for our 211 Northwest Florida application. The last time I was here, there was some discussion about coming back to ask for more money, and that would be something that the commission would entertain, and so I am here respectfully doing that. I did check with Mr. Hall to find out if that was an option for today. We actually had requested about a little over $20,000 in our grant application. Just wanted to help you kind of understand the increase that we've seen in 211 activity in March of 2020. Our call volume increased by 300%, and it is still 40% higher than it was in 2019 before COVID hit. 75% of the calls that we receive out of the 8 counties that we serve for 211 come from Escambia County. You all are aware that we are operating 24/7. We are doing that now in-house out of United Way. And I thought it would be helpful for you also to know that when 988 has rolled out in July and October, we will take those calls. So we're going to be seeing a significant increase. Some of that will be funded by the state, some of that will not. So we are also a good partner in the EOC, and we work with emergency management during a disaster, and also that's something that we feel that is important in the work that we do to serve the community, and something that we take very seriously. So again, here to advocate for that, and certainly to answer any questions that you all may have about our 211 Northwest Florida application.
Okay, Commissioner May, followed by Commissioner Bender.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Laura, I was in a Children's Trust Fund meeting today, and we were talking about putting together a resource guide of resources. Do you provide that? Do you have a resource guide that 211 or United Way has for the community?
Yes, so we have our online resource guide, which has about 1,400 resources in it. People can call or text 211, but we also have the Street Survival Guide, which is a printed guide, which is available. We have a new one coming out, and that is will be available here within the next month or so. The caution on that is that the minute that we send it to the publisher, it is outdated, because we make updates to our resource database every single day. So it's better than nothing, and it does have a QR code on the back of it so that people can access the database. But the best way for people to find out what resources are available is to call 211.
I mean, well, to my point, you said the moment you print it, it's outdated, but it is the latest information once it goes to print. And I guess my question would be, because it's all taxpayer dollars, it kind of bothered me that if you were doing this service already, why would we do it? So I guess my question is, are you doing it?
Yes, we are.
Are you doing it effectively?
Yes, we are, very.
Okay. With all services that any mom would get, youth activities, homelessness,
Right,
everything.
anything that is,
Any social service.
yes, Health and Human Services, nonprofit, as long as the organization agrees to be in the database. We have some organizations that choose not to be, and if they choose not to be, we can't put them in there.
So let me ask this question. Is it only agencies that are funded by United Way, or is it all agencies?
No, it's any agency that meets our criteria, yes, they are included.
When you say criteria?
So they have to be a nonprofit. If they're a for-profit and they require some fee, there has to be a sliding scale. They have to provide services within the 8 counties that our 211 Northwest Florida serves. So those, and then Health and Human Services.
Thanks. Would you mind, before our next budget hearing, actually, we have a Children's Trust meeting on Tuesday that we're going to vote on it. Mind getting with Kim Krupter or Tammy
Sure.
to explain to them the service that you're providing, so I don't want to have duplication of services.
Right, and neither do we, yes. So
All right.
absolutely, I'll do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Bender?
Thank you. On the 988, so that rolled out in, I guess, July.
Right.
It's more of a regional, but you're saying that it's going to become more of a local response in October? Is that what I heard you say?
So right now, those calls are being taken, I believe, out of Tallahassee.
Okay.
And then when we are up and operational and have been approved in October, then those calls will be answered by our staff.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
For the same service area that actually for an additional, for 10 counties. So there are additional 2 counties that the state gave us. Yes,
Thank you for being here.
sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Joe Herring, you're recognized, followed by Emily Copas.
How you doing, Commissioners? I'm Joe Herring. I'm the CEO of Gulf Coast Veteran Advocacy Council. We did not couldn't attend the last meeting because we were all out of town. But anyway, we're here to request an increase of $30,000 this year, and the justification we're looking at, we're expanding our program to assist the VSO for the county to filter out those applications that come in. We're going to have 5 days a week. We have an office set up at Pensacola State College that they can come in. We have it manned throughout the day, 8 hours through the day. And they would man and go through all those processes to see if they're even eligible to apply for service-connected disability, because a lot of them that come in are not even eligible to apply for those benefits, and it kind of backlogs this veteran service officer. So we're filtering out those aspects there that can kind of make it complex, and it'll take the load. We're taking the load off the VSO. His backlog, we won't be such a backlog, and if any assistance, we work closely with him as well as the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs, VSOs, and we have VSOs on board that's qualified and has got certified to do the VSO requirements. The only other thing that they have to go to the county or the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs to put it into the system because we don't have that eligibility. So we would filter out and we would kind of probably monitor and send those back to get the needs that they need to go to if they need specific service-connected or non-service-connected items, and if they need assistance in anything with the VA, we'll be there to help them with.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for this gentleman? We'll take your request under advisement.
Appreciate that.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, one thing we have this year, we have the VETCO program. We had increased it where we have transportation in place, and we have raised over $6,000 just to get them there. We thank you, Commissioner, for your support. And
Yes, sir.
we're really here to make sure that the veterans get what they need and not have to wait 3 to 4 months to get services.
Are you working with our Veterans Office here at the county?
Yes, we're working, all of our, I know we have Robbie as well as I'm sorry, and Anita, and we have the other welcome who is a
With our staff, we have a new Veterans Officer, or have we hired him?
sure
with-
do. Yeah, and we've
Yeah. So you're working with our Veterans Officer here at the county?
Yeah, yeah, we work with them, and we're in constant contact, Andy, yeah. So we're in communication, so if he needs some assistance, all he have to do is pick up the phone and call us, and we will assist him if he got a backlog to try to take away his backlog, because one of the things we have is what it would cost the county to get somebody employed to do that. It would be a lot more than $30,000.
Well, we appreciate it. I know that I saw Claire Long here earlier, but I know that we're partnering through Human Services with Leroy on your stand down at the Brownsville Community Center.
Right.
And we're happy to always provide that facility for you guys, free of charge. But I would encourage you, as we look at these dollars for our homeless dollars, I know you do a lot with homeless veterans.
Right.
I would encourage you to submit your application for funding, as Commissioner Berry has recommended. We're going to take open applications. So I'd recommend that you guys submit an application when we open up that portal.
Okay, thanks for the heads up.
Thank you,
We
sir.
appreciate you guys. Thank you for supporting us.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. You can count on it. All right, Emily Copas, followed by Chris Kerb.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Emily Copas. I am the COO with the Downtown Improvement Board. I am here tonight to let you know that we are going before the TDC to request funding for the first City Lights Festival that we put on. You may know it as the Christmas Lights. We will be requesting $15,000 to help expand our current footprint to include the Belmont and De Villers neighborhood. Our lighting company will cover all breakdown, installation, and maintenance required for the Christmas lights. We are looking for your support as we go before the TDC next month. We currently work with the City of Pensacola, the Florida Power and Light, Quint Studer, among a couple of the organizations that assist this.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Emily, what are we currently allocating for downtown lights for downtown Pensacola?
$117,000.
Something like that. Mr. Chairman, I know that you represent TDC. Belmont De Villas, in full disclosure, is a neighborhood that I live and grew up in. But it's a historically African-American community that's important, and I would hope that the TDC would seriously consider it. I mean, if they didn't, I'll be bringing forth a motion here at the board to support it. I mean, we're spending $117 just for a corridor of Palafox. To me, $15,000 is just not a lot of money to represent an area that is a true cultural tourist destination for the African-American community.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the appropriate cent for that would be the 4th cent?
Commissioner, this would be tourist promotion, so technically any of the pennies would be eligible.
Well, I think, yeah, and I'm certainly going to bring that before the TDC.
I appreciate it,
So
Mr. Chairman.
I think just so that we have everything clean for the 20th.
I think you take out the same budget you're taking down the Palafox lights out
Yeah.
of. Where are you taking that out of?
Or we could put a placeholder. Could we put a placeholder here, and I'll bring it before the TDC? I don't know if we have a meeting before the next budget workshop. And let me ask the lawyer, if we did it without a recommendation, is that just in poor form, or is it legal, or can we do it?
I think you can do it, yes.
Okay.
We allocate other agencies with tourist development dollars without
So
going through
why
them.
don't we put a placeholder in there, and then I'll bring it to the next meeting and tell them what we did.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you.
You do a great job.
That's how easy that was.
Emily, just where's the other money come from, though?
It comes from City of Pensacola, the DIB, and Quint, and Florida Power and Light, and
Florida
other
Power,
subcontractors.
Okay, I just
What's the
didn't
total? What's the
I didn't
total
want to
amount?
make it seem like.
Around 117.
And you're asking for seven? How
We're
much?
asking for 15,000.
15.
Yeah.
So I was just showing that, I was just trying to say that currently we did not fund the 115, 117. It
Right.
doesn't come from TDT, it doesn't come from this board.
They're
I was
raising
just-
money.
I was just clarifying, because she says we currently give 117. We don't give any of that.
Yeah, that's right.
No, and if you were to purchase it on your own, it would be about 34,000, and that doesn't include installation, maintenance, or breakdown. So the lighting company that we work with will take care of any of that, and they come out like every other week to make sure that everything is operating correctly.
Fantastic. Okay, good. Stefan, do you have that placed in our spreadsheet? Did you?
Yes, sir, I sure do.
Okay, fantastic. Lumen, anything else?
No, Emily, can you tell Walker to have a little better lights than they had last year?
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They
you
were
for
not
being
too
here.
bright.
Chris Kerb, followed by James Washington.
Good evening, Commissioners. Chris Kerb, Flood Defenders. We're 2,900 Flood Defenders right now on our Facebook page. And our whole goal, you've heard me before, is make flooding a priority. Put more money in your drainage budget, since that's what we're talking about is budgets. First, I want to say staff's worked real hard to put this together in preparation for you guys. They should be commended for their work. Multiple pages. Of course, the general public, when you pull up one of these budgets and you start reading it, you might want to fall asleep. It's real good reading material to fall asleep because it's a bunch of numbers and categories and cost. But y'all have had some tough issues for this budget year: inflation, recruitment challenges, workforce retention problems, and you have some major aging infrastructure. One weak area that I wanted to point out in your budget is on page 58 of your budget is your drainage local option sales tax budget. Why is it weak? Well, if you go down and you look through some of the projects, it's like 100,000 for 2 or 3 projects, 350 for one. That amount is low like that because it originally started out with a $7.5 million a year budget from 2018 to 2028. And then that budget got dropped down to $4 million a year. I know this because I prepared it. And instead of taking projects off, I just dropped the price down on a lot of those projects in hopes that I would be able to use that money as seed money for grants. Well, there's a ton of grant money out there right now. You got to have your staff beefed up a little bit more in your engineering department so you can go get some of that money. I think you need to increase your drainage budgets on a staff level and on your local option sales tax level. It's obvious that drainage impact fees are not going to be increased. I think we've talked about that on Coffee with Commissioner. You're not going to raise your millage rate. So, and you funded a lot of flood defender projects. You found the money somehow. I think a lot of it may have been discretionary funds. You've funded a lot of drainage projects with discretionary funds. I believe there's like $30 million left. I think you should take that money in discretionary funds and put it towards your high priority drainage projects. I think that would be a good solution to help make flooding a priority.
Thank you.
Thank you.
James Washington, followed by our final speaker, Kristen Fairchild. Good evening.
How everybody doing tonight?
Doing great.
I won't take long at all. Just want to say thanks for the support. We've been doing this and starting our 5th year with the tutorial program and the sports and field trips and father-son program. I was hoping, like everybody else, that we can get a little bit more funding. We are growing. We're in an 800-foot building that's helping out, but that building had just turned at 2020 North Palafox has turned for the elementary school kids. Our kids been in the program for 4 years, so they moved on to middle schools. Middle schools get out of school late. So those kids are having to go to tutoring. We're working out at Wedgewood. We need any help that we can get. It's just now we're trying to we have a building, it's just a shell, trying to get, gym, trying to get the classrooms in, trying to get building materials. It's rough out there, I just want you to know. We have 120 kids in the program consistently. Between the sports and the tutorial program, kids are faithfully doing extremely well, very proud of their success. More kids want to come, we just don't have the space. But any funding that you all can give, it's been going down every year, so if you can come up with just a little something more, we would greatly appreciate it. It would help out tremendously in the underserved community. That's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Commissioner May?
No, congratulations on some of your terms this year, Coach. I know you won a lot of terms, so congratulations.
Yeah, the kids got, like, we got great kids, they got great grades, and they play hard, so thank you very much.
Thanks for being here tonight.
I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Kristen Fairchild, final speaker. Good evening. Welcome.
Hi, I was just here if you needed to ask me any questions. If not, I'm good.
Seeing none, I think you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for being here. Very good. Okay, now we're going to move forward to some additional board action items. Board adoption of the tentative millage resolution.
Mr. Chairman, sorry. real
Yes.
quick. Just the blue highlights,
Yes, sir.
just so,
Commissioner, those were items that were identified that could be, that the board could identify to transfer to the Children's Trust for consideration for funding for fiscal year '23.
I think we're going to leave them as placeholders going toward the meeting on the 20th.
Okay.
Unless Commissioner May, did you have any,
No,
thoughts
I
on
mean,
that?
I thought what we said was, the reason I want to keep them placeholders, that we would send them to Children's Trust. We're in excess of 20 million, but if they didn't get funded, that we would keep it as a placeholder where they could come back.
In case they can't get it, yeah. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll leave it as a placeholder.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
and contingent on them applying to the Children's Trust.
Yep. Sounds good.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, okay, so does that give you the guidance for our next meeting on the 20th? Any other discussions?
yep, just wanted to clarify.
Okay,
Just 'cause
very good.
What you just asked about.
All right, we are now up to board action items continued. And the first one, we'll just go through these one by one, and then the chair would entertain a motion. Board adoption of the tentative millage resolution for fiscal year 2022-2023. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the tentative millage.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I need to read it first for the
Oh, I'm
record.
sorry.
I appreciate your
I've
enthusiasm.
heard it 8 times, but yeah.
But we got to read it for the record.
Yeah, I know it. Read it.
The chair will entertain a motion. I'll try and read quickly.
Yeah, read it fast as you
Chair will
can.
entertain a motion to adopt the tentative millage resolution as presented in the agenda backup of 6.6165 mills for the countywide millage rate, 0.359 for the library MSTU, and 0.685 mills for the sheriff's law enforcement MSTU for fiscal year 2022-2023. Chair would entertain a motion on that.
Yes, sir. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
All right. Mr. Chairman, do we have any more speakers?
I have one speaker on item 4.
Okay, all right.
But we've got to go through and do these one by one. Item number 2, board adoption of the tentative budget resolution for fiscal year 2022-2023. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt the tentative budget resolution of $622,979,451 for fiscal year 2022-2023 as presented in the agenda backup. The chair would entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. That passes 4-1 with Commissioner Underhill in dissent. Item number 3, announcement of the date and time of the second public hearing of the adoption of the final fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. The second public hearing for adoption of the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget will be held September 20th, 2022 at 5:31 p.m. in the board chambers on the first floor of the Ernie Lee Magaha Government Building located at 221 Palafox Place. Chair would entertain a motion on that.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second on that. Please vote. That item passes unanimously. On item number 4, it's a public hearing for consideration of adopting the fiscal year 2022-2023 non-ad valorem special assessments roll. I do have one speaker. Would the board want to hear before?
Can we hear the speaker first, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely. Stephanie Street. Stephanie Street. I see no motion in the chambers.
She's not here. I'll move the item.
Okay, I believe I do need to read it, though.
All right, well, that'd be great.
I'll do it very quickly. Presentation of the fiscal year 2022-2023 non-ad valorem special assessments roll. Wait a minute. Okay, I will recognize Wes Marino. You're recognized for that.
Commissioners, there is a list of all non-ad valorem districts and rates provided in your agenda backup.
Okay.
That was presented.
There is a public forum. I have no speakers signed up. Is that correct? I see no speakers. I see no sheets.
Move item 4 in the affirmative.
Okay, but we need to be a little more specific than that. Let me go through here. Let's do it right. Let's see. Item 4, there is A, B, and a C. Chair would entertain.
Hey, Jeff, I think you're just, sorry. It looks like you've got a statement to read. B was the public forum. I think you called the person, they weren't here.
Yep.
So C is the board adoption, so I think that's your part right there, underneath it.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2022-2023 non-ad valorem special assessments roll as presented in the agenda backup.
So moved.
All right, second.
Second.
You'd think I'd
Sorry.
be able to
I mean,
follow the
it's,
script.
I mean, you just, yeah.
It's just a script. Here we go. Oh, Doug? All right, that passes unanimously. Okay, moving now forward to item 7, extension of the 2022 ad valorem tax roll. Recommendation concerning the extension of the 2022 ad valorem tax roll. Stephen Hall, you're recognized.
Commissioners, so basically what this particular item is a request from our Escambia County Tax Collector's Office, but this also benefits the public. It allows for 4 discount periods
Yes.
starting in November, where our property taxpayers are entitled to a discount over those 4 periods. It starts at 4% and down to 1%, and then after that, it's 0.
And
So-
this is a standard that we do on?
Yes, sir, every year.
Okay. And I know that Scott Lunsford sent a letter to the county requesting specifically to put this on there, so.
Yes, sir, that's
seems reasonable
correct.
to me, seems very, very normal. Chair would entertain a motion on number 7.
So
Move number 7 in the affirmative.
Second.
Motion and second on number 7, please vote. Okay. Got it? All right, that passes unanimously. Gentlemen, that's the end of our agenda. Is there any comments from the board? Any other,
No.
anything
Wait.
for the good of the order? We're
Great
adjourned.
job, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.